Well, thanks for joining me this week. Got a great episode for you. We're over a very special place to me, Annisquam, over on the backside of Cape Ann. And what I'm working on today is I'm working on a really interesting shot that frames this lighthouse, which is an iconic lighthouse. But most of all, it's in a fissure of rocks. So I've been dreaming about this shot for a long time because I know this exists because I used to swim here as a young boy, and this is just a great place to grow up because I've been pre-visualizing this image for a long time. So join me in just a bit. I'm going to go down and set this shot up. Boy, I remember photographing this tree at wintertime. It's a really cool tree. This branch comes all the way down here, and actually it's framing the lighthouse, which is kind of neat. It's what a beautiful sight this is. Tide's going out, which I would have rather had it been coming in, but nope, unfortunately not. So this property is owned by the Squamish Land Trust. People own shares and they pay each year to take care of the property. And I'm telling you, they do a beautiful job of taking care of it. Now, I got no idea if I'm going to have any luck with the sunset or not. We'll see. Hopefully we'll get some color. I know the sun is not going to come down inside that fissure of rocks that I told you about, but we'll see. I think it's going to be a nice image. Sun's starting to come down, and we'll see if we can get a good image of this. Well, here it is. Fortunately, we don't have a lot of water splashing around in here, so maybe we can get some reflections. I don't know. Got this shot set up just the way I want it, and I'm hoping that we get some color here. It looks like we might have some color. And the problem is that even at f/16, this boulder that's right in front of me, and I'll show you this image in just a second, is a little bit too close, so I might have to make a shot of the foreground and then a shot of the background, which is the lighthouse, because of the fact that it's there's a huge difference there. I'm even shooting it at 10 on my 10-24, which is like a 15mm lens, full frame. It's going to be a little bit difficult. Plus, the dynamic range here is ridiculous. This foreground is way darker than it is going to be out there, so it's going to even out. I know it's going to even out a little bit, but probably not enough. So let's see. I'll show you that image right now. So here's my image right here, and I got this nice big rock right here, which I'm going to be focusing on. The lighthouse is up here in the valley of this fissure in the rocks here, and I know that there's going to be vast differences in everything. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and make sure that I get enough exposures that I can blend things a little bit in Photoshop. Still got about a half an hour or so before sunset. It's like 7:30 or so, and I forgot to bring my CDs with me, so the tripod's sinking a little bit. I'll have to keep checking and make sure my image isn't saying. These little things you keep forgetting, along the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm going to use touch focus because it's much easier to work that way, and I'll make sure that I change it to manual focus when I make the shot so nothing drifts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some different exposures for all of this with it focused on the foreground, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and focus on the lighthouse and make some exposures out there. So I'm going to do it in 2 steps, and we'll see what I get. I'm still waiting to see if I get any color. That's kind of the big thing. One of the big things is light, color. If you don't have either one of those, it's kind of useless, except for the fact that you always learn something when you do things like this. It's great being out here on the seashore. The experience of actually doing it is what it's all about. It's really, okay, the image, if you get a great image, that's awesome. If you don't, then it's really all about the experience that you had doing it. And that's why I'm out here. I mean, I grew up here. I grew up swimming in here when I was a kid, and it's just great to come back here and really enjoy it. I just wish there was more waves coming in here, crashing over this rock, which would have been nice if it was the tide coming in, which, you know, if you pay attention and you do your homework, which I did a little bit of homework, but I wanted to get this video out today, or I should say this week, and unfortunately the tide's going out, which I'm kind of liking at this point because my feet aren't going to get wet. I don't have to wear boots, and I might be able to move over for a different type of shot a little bit later, hopefully as we get some color. We'll see. So a third of the way into this frame is right about here where the top of this rock is, and I don't know if that'll be enough. I don't think so. I checked the focus earlier and it looked like it was not quite enough to make it all the way out to the lighthouse. I'm starting to get some color here, which is good. Well, I've been making shots all along here, and we've got a little bit of color behind the lighthouse, but not nearly as much as where the sun is going down. And it's, you know, close here. It's 7:39. It's going down at 8 o'clock thereabouts. So we still got another 20 minutes or more. See if the sky lights up, because it might very well. We don't know. Well, we got a beautiful sunset. Color's not great, but looks like it's starting to move towards the lighthouse a little bit, which would really be nice. It's starting to get there. I got a shot of the sunrise of the boat going by just to prove I was here. Well, as you can see, it was a pretty nice sunset, but it just wasn't close enough over to the lighthouse. Yesterday's sunset was much better. It was all over the sky. It was great. Unfortunately, for me, on this particular day, it didn't work out that way. So some very cool clouds. Not sure we're gonna get the sky to explode above the lighthouse, but it'd be kind of cool. You know, the lighthouse is not really the subject. The subject here is these cool rocks that lead out to the lighthouse. The lighthouse is part of this subject, but not necessarily all of it, because it's pretty small in the frame. I mean, it's really small in the frame. So you can see with this shot, the lighthouse is pretty small in this particular composition, but I love the sand in the left-hand corner and the way that leads up into the rock and then up into the leading lines of the rocks that lead you up into the lighthouse. The problem here is there's not enough color in the sky, so I recomposed this shot and came down a bit so that I got just the clouds above the lighthouse. It's a much better composition. So the other problem with this image is that it's an exposure blend and a focus stack, and I really didn't like the way it turned out. There's some funkiness going on around the rocks and stuff, and I suppose I could have done a better job. I didn't take this into Photoshop. I didn't like the composition, so I decided to bag it and work on the other image instead. So with anything, landscape photography is just like everything else. A little patience always helps, and I did a little bit of recomposing with the zoom lens. I have the 10 to 24 on there, and I think I got a half decent shot. We'll see. Might have to do some focus stacking and some exposure blending, but you know, the Fuji sensor is pretty darn good, so might be able to pull up enough so that I can see detail in these rocks here in the foreground. We'll see. Right now we got some really nice clouds above the lighthouse and a little bit of color behind it, so it's kind of cool. And of course there's people standing out on the rocks next to the lighthouse. That's what Photoshop is for, taking the people out. So this is the image I decided to work on. You can see that we're probably 3 stops under here in the foreground. So I used my sunset preset that I have in Lightroom, and this is the initial image that I get to work on. And actually it's not too bad. All we gotta do is just lighten up things a little bit. And boy, look at that. What a great adjustment we made. And then I had to take a person out. You can't really see it here on YouTube, but there's a person up there, and I had to take him out in Photoshop. And then I decided to warm this image up a little bit with this next shot here. As you can see, I just warmed it up a little bit, and actually I'm pretty happy with this. I'm not dissatisfied at all. Not bad. Now the other issue here that we were dealing with was, is f/16 going to be able to carry this all the way out to the lighthouse? Well, I decided to focus on more in the middle of the frame, and it actually covered it almost all the way out. The lighthouse just a little bit out. Boy, I'm amazed at how this came out. So it looks like we're done. I don't think we're going to get any more color out of this sky. Thanks for stopping by this week and listening to me babble about shooting this shot over here at the Annisquam Lighthouse. It's a beautiful spot, you know. Please, if you really like this type of thing and the adventure of going out and photographing like this, give me a like. That would be great. And give me a comment and subscribe to my channel. You know, I'm trying to get over 3,000 subscribers right now. That would be great. So that's it for this week, and we're going to hike back over to the car. So we'll catch you next time.